Welcome everyone to Sharp Talk. My name is Tomas, and joined with me today is Forge and Fire Judge, legendary Kali martial artist Doug Marcaida.
How's everybody doing on this beautiful day? I thought I'd just broadcast from right outside my in-laws' place. Enjoy nature. Call to nature. Because we're going to stay sharp with nature's elements. I have no idea what I'm saying.
I love it. It looks gorgeous. It looks like you might need something to chop through that brush. With me today is the Grande Fratello.
Absolutely. Let's cut right into it. Ow.
In this Sharp Talk, we're talking about 3 FMA tips and tricks to help you improve your FMA skills, or maybe you haven't considered studying Filipino martial arts. These are going to be some suggestions and tips to help you get started on your FMA journey. Doug Marcaida, what is the first tip in improving your FMA?
Well, first, FMA, Filipino Martial Arts. Let's talk about what is Filipino martial arts in comparison to other fighting systems. Filipino martial arts starts off with learning how to use tools. You know, what are those tools? Could be, you've seen it with double stick, single stick, a knife, double knife, karambits, spears, all these arts. They love to use tools, as opposed to other arts where you start off learning how to use your hands and your legs and grappling and everything else. And then as you start getting better in your system or get a higher rank, you switch to learning how to use weapons. In the Filipino martial arts, we go straight for what we feel gives you the highest advantages of survival. Weapons.
Doug, why do people in Filipino martial arts start off with weapons? That seems wild. Why do they hand you a weapon first day of class? Oh, excuse me. Why do they hand you a tool first day of class?
Exactly, tool. The reason is Filipino martial arts is about survival. You know, the Philippines with the 7,100 islands and the different tribes that were there are all about the different tribes that are constantly warring with each other. And we talk about warring in combat. Combat is about weapons utilization. It's not about the use of the hands. There have never been any wars or battles ever fought with just kickboxing or hands or grappling. Never happened. 2,000 people out there, somebody ruins the party by showing up with a weapon, right? So knowing that, they thought that the one thing that gives you the highest percentage of survival is use a tool, use a weapon, because it's a force multiplier. It's one thing if I can show up there with my hands, empty hands and grappling. Somebody shows up with a sword, it's over, right? And that's the difference. Why? We want to start with what gives us the highest percentage of survival. One of the things that my teacher used to say, okay, you know, think of it this way. Here's my tribe. Here's my son. We're going to battle tomorrow, son. So here's a weapon. And this is all you need to know. Chop in this. That's all you're going to do. Just this 1 and 2, 1 and 2. That's all you're going to do. And the son goes, that's all. What about all this other stuff? You survive that tomorrow, I'll teach you more. And the guy goes, well, this is so kind of cheating because the other guys are going to kickbox. Like, exactly. They want to use their limbs, chop it all off. And we'll continue on, right? Because it has the highest percentage of survival. And that's history proven. Nothing that we're talking about who's better, whatever. It is about survival. And when you talk about survival, weapons give you the highest percentage, or tools give you the highest percentage of being able to be successful at it.
I like that. And that is something that appealed to me too, is when I first started training, because I went from a Kajikembo background, which was primarily rough and just striking, right? And they're like, no, now fight this. I started throwing punches and kicks, and my teacher, boom, 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 and I'm like, what the heck? What? It got cut up instantly. So that makes total sense. Now, let's say you've been training for a couple weeks, maybe a couple months. What are some tips to help improve your tool handling capabilities?
First thing up, you'll see in the Filipino martial arts, they use rattan sticks, right? Why sticks? We're not stick fighters because this is like a metaphor of anything that you want to pick up. It could be a spray can, right? It could be a water bottle. Could be around it, obviously, a knife held this way, or if I'm holding it from this way, this particular grip. It can be anything that you want, but it also gives you different attributes. Its impact, the thickest impact, it's rounded, whereas a sword, it's got an edge, it's metal, it's got weight to it. The handle feels different when you're holding on to it. So the main thing that you got to do in Filipino martial arts is always have something available at home. I mean, yes, I have sticks all over my house everywhere. And if I don't have it, I will pick up whatever I can find around it and be stick-like with it or sword-like, depending on the attribute of what I pick up. But the main thing is, learn to be one with something that you pick up. Let's explain this. We always say in Filipino martial arts that, and I'll say interchangeably, tools or weapon, right? But let's say for this case, the weapon or whatever you pick up, it is an extension of your hand. What exactly is an extension? Like it's an add-on? No. If it is a true extension of my hand, that means that the tip of my finger is the same as the tip of this stick. That I know the exact pinpoint accuracy that when I do that, this tip right here is aligned with my feeling. It's part of my being. It's not this way. You see, empty hand fighting, this is what they're doing, right? I am totally aware of my tips and where it's going to be when I'm jabbing, whatever, right? But the minute I pick up something, I'm picking up something. My tips are not pointed at my opponent. My tips are holding on to the stick. So the difference here is it's an addition to my being, whereas in Filipino martial arts or weapons or anybody who uses tools, it's an extension of them. And that's why I always have something to pick up, work with it to where it's a true extension, meaning I use this to move stuff around. I use this to feel stuff. You know, I use this. That's why when I was teaching law enforcement in their batons, I go, use the baton to clear stuff away. Don't just take it out for as a punitive thing. Take it out because I got to clear stuff. I don't want to touch any needles. I got to move stuff away. It gives me a range to move something out of the way. I'm already one with the tool. It's not a weapon. But any point that I need to use it, any part that needs to use it, I'm very familiar because it's just like my hands come into action.
An excellent point indeed. And typically we start out with those longer tools and then bridge down into the more edged weapons. And then finally we start with the empty hand, the panatukan, the dirty boxing, and all of that. Doug, I feel that potentially training in FMA could give you an advantage over some martial arts, which again, people might get in an uproar for, but I think it's genuinely true because you have an extra tool in your hand. What are your thoughts on training FMA before bridging out into other martial arts?
It gives you a spatial awareness of picking up something that gives you the highest percentage survival. Meaning, okay, here's one thing. I myself had a fear of weapons. I had a fear of blades. I had a version of a PTSI, right? When I was young, growing up in the Philippines, I was accosted. I was part of a bad world and everything else. I got into the gangs and everything else. I got accosted by blades, and I always didn't want that. I studied other arts, and I only figured that anyone using a knife is a criminal, right? I got older. People always fought with weapons back home. Nothing new, you know. That's the way it is. But when I finally faced my fear, I realized how empowering it was to train with a weapon. That the idea of knowing something that gave me a force multiplication of what I was doing was actually a better and harder way to learn. But once I got it down, it was an easier way. Let me explain. So one of the things that, this is actually a story by one of the great legends, Daniel Santo was told, right? He wanted to learn how to box, how to fight with his hands. And he went to this master, and the master told him, oh, you want to be good with your hands? Okay, come here. And he pulled up a rolled up newspaper and go like, touch me once, right? And I'm paraphrasing to the story. But basically, every time he tried to box, he just hits it, pop, 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 kept on hitting, and he couldn't. I'm like, wow, of course, but I want to learn how to use my hands. He goes like, what do you think wields this? The hands. So it's like that analogy I always said, right? It's like track athletes now that we're in the Olympics, right? If you see track athletes running with a parachute, that parachute is like the weapon. It holds you back. It gives you resistance. There's weight to it. But the minute you let go of that parachute, you are 10 times faster. Same thing in Filipino martial arts. We work all these. It's got a weight to it. I got to focus and hold on. I got to know what I'm hitting over there. And all these angles that I don't hit myself with a weapon. I can move. I can deflect. I can, engage with it. If I were to drop this, oh my gosh, I'm that much faster. Moving with the blade this way and all the speed of working all that, all of a sudden, oh, I can move that way. I'm not worried about poking myself or jamming myself. So I'm here with this karambit, flipping and moving all that, right? There's weight to it. I have to be careful not to cut myself. All of a sudden, I'm using my fingers. If I were to train, and one of the things also, that's the second piece of learning to do this, don't use it as a tool alone. Be one with it. That's the first one. Always carry one. Familiarize yourself with it. But learn to do stuff with it in your hand. Meaning, I can still do that. I can grab this. I can hook onto this. I can still learn how to move everything around it with this in my hand. Do you know how much coordination you'll need to be able to work something this way, even whether when it's locked up this way or locked up this way and moving all the coordination required for that, that when I don't have this, I got fingers. It's so much easier just to grab. But then you learn to work without just focusing and holding on to your fingers. Our locks are used with a third hand principle, where we can learn to parry something and lock it up with whichever way that I can do it without having to use my fingers for that. My hand still has this. Yes, I can grab. But imagine if I can find a way to hook onto it with something in my hand. That's a difference. You get to be these other parts of your body. The weapon teaches you how to use your body better. Because in the end, what wields the weapon? Your hands.
It is. And I genuinely feel that we learn so much by that feel, that connection of what we're doing with the tools that we're training with and allowing them to teach us. Because really, it's the mind. The mind is the most powerful tool that we have. And you also did something, and I want to encourage folks to go back and check out some of our previous episodes of Sharp Talk, talking about weapons and changing your grips, as well as the training tools, as why we train with sticks. We have a whole episode dedicated to that. But I feel Filipino martial arts also just changes the way you perceive your environment and also your creativity. Filipino martial arts is so fun. You can play, you can have fun. And just like Doug was demonstrating with the water bottles and things, I've been a nerd and I've set it up before where I have that water bottle hull handle on the side, and I'm practicing angle 5, doing thrusts from different angles to see if I can get it through that little water bottle holder. And it allows you to express yourself, your creativity, your movements. Being able to wield two things at once is a mind battle. But once you get comfortable with it, you can pick up a variety of different tools and wield them effectively.
It's definitely a mindset. We call it the Kali or the bladed mind. And the idea there is that in the beginning, when you're first learning Filipino martial arts, you always have a tool. Maybe today it's stick. Tomorrow it's double stick. Then it becomes a knife, double knife, a karambit, and all this. It's a particular system or weapon system. But as you start to realize they're all interchangeable, you'll realize there's only one weapon, my mind. I am the weapon. These are all tools. And why is that important? Because in the beginning, you get very comfortable carrying something. I'm coming to my class with my class with my sticks. We look at the old days, right? Oh, I sheath my sword. Now anything happens. If anything happens, they pick up with my weapon. They always feel for their weapon first, right? That's because they're always allowed to walk around armed. In today's world, well, there are certain rules in certain cities where you cannot be armed. But here's the thing, because we've learned to be able to look at everything as a tool and be very easy if I pick it up and I can use this tool here. I can use whatever's given to me. It's a band. Whatever's given to me, I can use as a tool. All of a sudden, I get the confidence that I am the weapon. My environment will provide for me. So you start to sit down and you're confident that anything I have around here, I can pick up and use as a tool, as a force multiplier. I don't need to carry anything. I can use my physical tool, but I don't want to endanger this because this is for my work, for my livelihood, for loving people. But I will always pick up something that was an inanimate object and be very confident with it because I don't feel what's going on in there. I can use it to deflect and protect, but it's everywhere, or your environment will provide for you. But what happens if in my environment I don't see anyone? Well, that's where footwork comes. Get up and run and go pick up something. There's always something to be found out there, right? You can't find one, go hide behind, use your environment. So we use the environment for everything else. Use your environment? What do you mean? Well, you see, what's the difference between the flat of a stick, the flat of a blade, the flat of a hammer, and the flat of a wall, the flat of a table? They're all impact. Maybe if I can't pick up the table to throw to you, I'll take you down and smack you on the table. Same thing. So everywhere around me, I have something to use as a tool.
If people are interested in learning more, especially the Marcaida Kali, Doug, where can they go?
DougMarcaida.com. I do have my online tutorials, but I do a lot of my celebration on my YouTube channels, my Instagram, my Facebook. I do a lot of my videos because I celebrate what I do. But in those videos, it's more like an outlet for me. I just put music to it. I just have fun with it. I do goofy stuff with it. I do have my Kali tutorials here as warm-up. People go, oh my gosh, you hurt somebody. No, they're just warm-up, guys. Relax. It's just having fun. You see, the beauty of the arts is that it's an art form that has a body count. I don't have to know whether it works or not. This thing that the edge will cut, or I never question a bullet when it leaves its gun. It's going to be dangerous. So because I think of things that way, I already know that the art form has a body count. It's already worked. So I do it more for self-preservation. I do it for calisthenics. I do it to meditate. It grounds me. You know, when I started learning martial arts, I just wanted to learn it because I wanted to kick ass. Now, as I grew and truly became a martial artist, I know why I don't ever want to kick ass to begin with. It's about harmony. It's about fighting the only one enemy there is, your own ego.
That is a cutting edge idea, and I really enjoy that. If you guys are interested in learning more and you're in the Bay Area, make sure to check out Original Garone Eskrima, as well as the upcoming seminar for Karambit Unleashed in Daly City, August 17th and 18th. And by the time that this drops, there may be still some slots available, so don't miss out on your opportunity to come train with Doug Marcaida and Ray Dionaldo.
All right, stay sharp. See you next time.